Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are preparing for this next Bassmaster Open on Kentucky Lake. We're finished with practice. In fact, we got an extra off day because it is howling out there today, and decided that my time was best used getting everything dialed in. I don't think that I'm going to be finding anything additional when it's blowing 20 to 30 out there today. It doesn't seem that bad here, but trust me, I can hear it howling out there right now. But anyways, one of the things that I fished this week that is definitely something I'm going to be doing in the tournament. Hopefully I do well. It kind of started to fizzle off a little bit, but throwing a shallow diving crankbait is something that is definitely working on Kentucky Lake right now. This right here is the Fritz side. This is the 5 biggin is what they call it, but this is the shallow diving flat-sided crankbait that I really do like this Fritz side line. But anyways, there's a lot of different shallow diving crankbaits on the market. You've got ones that have a more vigorous action, and you've got some that are a little bit tighter, more subtle action that I think are really good during the colder water periods. But regardless of what shallow diving crankbait you're using, one of the most important things that you have to do on a regular basis is changing out the hooks. The thing about a shallow diving crankbait, especially when you're fishing a lot of rock, is that those hooks are going to, no matter how premium they are when you get them out of the pack, those hooks are going to wear down very, very quickly. Just banging against rocks and all that stuff is going to really wear down the points. And when it's colder specifically, when the bite is real tough, those fish just don't have all that energy to just suck in that bait and choke it all the way down. It's really important to have sticky hooks that allow you to get a good solid hook set or easy penetration. So changing out your hooks is something you're going to hear me talk about a lot when it comes to fishing crankbaits. But one thing that I want to point out when it comes to swapping out your crankbait hooks is what sizes you can get away with, what size hooks. I've got this full box of Hayabusa TBL 930s, okay, both in just a regular black nickel and the NRB coating. And even though a crankbait might have a certain size hook on it out of the pack, that doesn't mean that you have to live with that size hook. You can downsize in some cases, and you can upsize in a lot of cases as well. However, the design of the crankbait is really going to dictate what hook sizes you want to use. So that's what I want to kind of talk about in this video. And all the links to the products I'm talking about, especially the treble hooks that I like to use, are going to be in the description below. So check those out. That is a great way to support the channel, is by using those links to purchase these products. But anyways, let's get back to it. So really my rule of thumb is, if a crankbait is designed to have a pretty vigorous or wide roll and wobble, it has a lot of action that you can feel on the rod tip very, very clearly, the more wiggle room you have when it comes to the hook size that you're using. This one right here is the KVD 2.5, okay, square bill. These are some big size 2 hooks. Okay, so those are really, really big hooks. And then you look at the Fritz side that I'm throwing this week. These are tiny little hooks. These are like 5s, maybe. Okay, these are like very, very small hooks. And the reason why this is important to think about is that a bait like the 2.5 that has a very wide wobble, you can feel it in your rod tip. It's just more vigorous than the Fritz side or other flat-sided crankbaits. It can handle having bigger hooks on it. All right, so I want to upsize to be able to get the best hooking percentage when I'm using a bait that has a more vigorous and obvious wobble to it than this one right here. This flat-sided crankbaits, you really don't have a ton of wiggle room. Okay, you want to make sure that you kind of keep things along the same treble hook size when you're replacing the hooks with a bait like this, just because if you go too heavy, it's really going to hurt the action. The one thing I will say though is with a lot of these flat-sided crankbaits, you can still do something you know, with the front hook a little bit, okay? So I'll actually upsize the front hook oftentimes and then test the bait. And most baits, even these flat-sided crankbaits that have that very subtle, tight action, you know, a slightly upsided, like the next size up in treble hooks, it actually will work pretty well. In fact, I honestly think it actually adds to the action a little bit, because you're adding just the slightest amount of weight to the front to kind of help it wobble even more sometimes. So if anything, I'll keep the rear hook the same from the factory and increase the size of the front hook just slightly, the next size up. And that's what I do. But anyways, I just wanted to do this video, kind of point the difference out between, you know, a more wide wobbling bait and a very narrow wobbling bait, and how you really need to pay attention to the hook size. You just don't have as much wiggle room, no pun intended, when you have a bait that's a little bit more subtle. So anyways, guys, that is a tip for today. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. If you have a topic you want me to cover in a future video, definitely drop that below as well. Thank you for watching. Wish me luck here at Kentucky Lake. Hopefully it turns out to be a good event. Thanks for watching. I'm going to see you out in the water. Trust the process.